Well, good morning. It is so great to see all of you this morning. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Craig. I'm a part of the online community here at Icon, and I am in Nashville, Tennessee. So, first of all, just right, elephant in the room. We have a live experience right now in Texas. And so if you're watching this later, or maybe you missed the live experience and you actually are in Texas, man, love to see you in person. Not me personally, though. If you're in Nashville, let's hang out. But if you are in the area, we would love to see you in person again. But man, we are thrilled for all of the people like myself that are all over the country. We're continuing our online experience as well. So if this is your first time with us, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We are so honored that you are here. Now, in a moment, we are going to jump into week one of a brand new series. I'm really excited about this one. Pastor Kelly is leading us off. What we're talking about is just this really fun idea called now streaming, where we're going to be looking at pop culture and the way that it impacts our faith journey. And today is going to be a really fun day as Pastor Kelly just kind of talks about just a very profound experience with Billie Eilish of all people. And so we are so thrilled that you're here. And so whether it's your first time or maybe you've kind of been silently attending for a few weeks, just know that we would love to connect with you. No pressure. It's really easy online to just kind of like sit and hang out and just watch from a distance, and that's okay too. But if you would like to connect, one of the easiest ways to do that would be to fill out our Connect card. And I'll put it in the chat online here shortly if you're in the church online platform. And this is just a way for us to keep you updated on all the things that are happening here at Icon Church online. Another way to connect is to download the Icon Church app, and you can set it up to get notifications. Join us in the online experience. And then, excuse me, been apparently burping up coffee here in Nashville. And if at any point during our online experience you would like to speak to someone, maybe you have a need or need one of our team members to join with you in prayer, you can simply click the button in the church online platform that just says, "Would you like to pray with someone?" That opens up a private chat that is only between you and one of our key leaders or myself. And then, obviously, we are able to do what we are able to do because of the generous gifts that people within our community make. None of this happens for free. And at the same time, we don't want you to feel any pressure to participate in giving. However, if this is something that has meant a lot to you and been a part of your life, we first of all, I want to say thank you for those that are continuing to give and invest in the work that we're doing here. If you would like to participate in that, the easiest way to do that is click in the link in the upper right-hand corner of the church online platform that is titled Give. It will walk you through all of the ways that you can engage with us in that way. And we just believe that what we are doing is so important to create a space where everyone is welcome. We realize that no one is perfect, but really anything is possible. And it's because of the faithful investments of incredible people that are a part of our community that we are able to create this safe space. Additionally, we recognize that the world has been crazy over the last number of years. And if you need somebody to partner with you or to assess, we'd love to assess how we can help. You can just email us at info@iconchurch.com and we will start the conversation. Now, today we're going to have just a short time of worship, or maybe for those of us that don't like to sing, just some time of reflection. And we're going to prepare our hearts for the message that Pastor Kelly is going to be speaking. If you don't know the songs or don't feel like joining in, that's okay, because no one can see you anyway. But we are so glad that you have joined us on whatever platform you are watching or engaging with us. And I just want to say one last time, welcome to Icon.
Let the king of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, here's my song. Let the king of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, here's my song, 'cause you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song, 'cause you are good, you're good. Oh, 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 you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Icon Online. I'm so glad that you're all joining us this morning. You'll notice my surroundings are a little bit different than usual. It's because I'm out of town this week, and so I am recording my message for you from out of town. So thank goodness for iPhones that can do good quality video. So I know it may not be as good a quality as usual, but it's fine. We don't care about that around here. We're not here for perfection or for like perfectly produced church services. We're here for community and to learn and grow together. So I'm looking forward to the next few weeks because we are starting a new series this week that we have titled Now Streaming, where we just thought it would be kind of fun for the next few weeks to take some pop culture references and kind of talk about how those things have impacted our faith and how we have found God in them. There's this habit that I used to find myself doing in my faith. I did this for years where I would compartmentalize my faith. And it was like, I spent a really good portion of my life as a Christian seeing things in black and white. There were good guys and there were bad guys. There was good behavior and there was bad behavior. There were Christian things and then there were secular things. Music, television, magazine, books, movies, like all kinds of pop culture type of artistic expressions. And the evangelical culture that I existed within made it pretty clear that it was like, as a Christian, you were to engage in Christian things. You were not to engage in secular things. It was like, don't listen to secular music, and you should watch, Christian movies and read Christian books. And there was this kind of compartmentalization between the secular and the sacred, or Christian and secular. And it was very much this idea that it was only in the quote unquote Christian things that God could be found. We were taught to, and maybe you were, taught this sort of thing too, but we were taught to avoid being like the world, which basically translated, don't participate in things that are not very clearly Christian things to participate in. And as I've continued to grow in my faith, as I've, continued to learn how to listen to where I believe the Spirit is leading, I have found this growing sense of curiosity when it comes to the divine. And I have found that so many times God ends up being found in the places that I was always told to avoid. And, I no longer believe that there are these precise, distinct lines between the secular and the sacred. I believe it all fits, it all belongs, that we can have sacred, holy moments outside of traditional Christian spaces. And now what I'm not saying that everything is good for us to consume. Okay, I'm not saying that that as people of faith that there aren't certain boundaries and value systems that we have in place. But I absolutely believe that it's important that we listen to the way that the Spirit communicates to our bodies that certain things may not be healthy for us. Certain types of media or music or, content that people put out there might be things that as you're discerning what is best for you and where the Spirit is leading, that you say, you know what, for my health and wholeness, that's not good for me. And I think that it's important that we do that we only consume things that are leading us toward love and flourishing. I believe all of that. But what I am saying that we miss out on opportunities to encounter the divine when we place hard and fast lines around where we think the divine can be found. And I also believe that the Spirit is constantly moving and flowing and whispering to our innermost being. And the more we pay attention, the more we become attuned to it. And I think the way that the Spirit speaks and the way that truth is found doesn't always necessarily come from places that are Christian or that we would deem to be Christian. In my experience, there can be a lot of things that Christians would deem to be secular that absolutely contain divine wisdom and beauty. And as we were planning for the next few weeks, we just thought it'd be fun as a faith community to have each of us who are giving these sermons to kind of talk about some of these places where we have found God, and maybe places that somebody would look at and go, oh, that God's not in that. And I would say, well, I beg to differ, because I learned this truth, or I found this beauty, or I had this experience with the Spirit speaking to me through this avenue that maybe a lot of other people would overlook and say, God can't be found there. And so, we see in Scripture that the first thing that God does is create. Starting with the creation poem in Genesis, we see that God creates. And since we are made in God's image, I would say that creating things is a pretty important part of us, that it's part of who we are, that we were made to create. And I'm aware that there are plenty of things in popular culture that people create that may not reflect values and boundaries and things that a lot of Christians, that we as Christians would hold to. There are things that dehumanize and cause harm. This is true. And we need to use wisdom when we concern certain things and be educated and aware of what kinds of messages that the pop culture material that we're consuming are putting out into the world and how it's affecting our neighbor. But I also think that if we're paying attention, that God can be found in popular culture around us, that God can be found in song lyrics, and I'm not talking just Christian music. Like, God can be found in song lyrics and in movies and in books and in art. And so today I would like to share with you about the time that I found God in a Billie Eilish song. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with Billie Eilish. I'm sure you've probably heard her name before because she rose to fame at a very young age. Extremely talented, like just mind-blowingly vocally, songwriting capability. Her and her brother like write all their stuff together. Her first album, actually, she produced with her brother in her bedroom. So just a wildly talented girl. And when I first started listening to her, because my oldest daughter loved her. And so I was like, oh, I want to check this out. Like, I want to be like, oh, you're interested in this? I want to share that interest with you. And so I started listening to her music, and I was so struck as I listened to it by how honest and vulnerable she was in her music, being super open about depression and kind of going through some dark places in your mind, and not trying to sugarcoat it, but rather just allowing it to exist in all of its dark and painful ways, and just being real honest about that. And I saw how that had this pull, on people. This it was so real and authentic and raw. And then not too long ago, I don't know if it was a couple years ago, a documentary was released about her life, and it kind of followed just her life and her career and her relationship with her parents and with her brother. And I can remember watching this documentary and multiple times, like it bringing tears to my eyes, because I just was like, just so struck by her. And I remember at one point I looked over at Dan and I was like crying, and I was like, I just want good things for her. Like, I just really, I don't know, my heart just connected with her story on like a deeper level. And so when her latest album came out, I was listening to it, and there was one particular song on this album that it stopped me in my tracks. It's called Not My Responsibility. And this song, she's not singing, it's more there's music behind her, and she's just talking on this track. And in the song, she's expressing her frustration, just with the ways that people were judging her and the expectations that others were projecting onto her, particularly with the way that she would choose to dress on any given day. And so she's like, you know, in this song, she's just expressing this frustration over the way that it's like she feels like no matter what she does, people are going to have something harmful and hurtful and negative to say about her, that she just can't win, you know, in the eyes of the public. And I think we all know that it is that case with celebrities so often, people that are in the public eye. It's like, you know, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of a thing, you know. But I think not just with celebrity culture, but I think this is something that's familiar to all of us. I think we have all experienced this in some way, that sometimes it doesn't matter what we say or what we do, that there will always be people who are going to judge and criticize. And then, so I'm listening to the song and it's like I'm connecting with it. And then she ends the song with this line. She says this: "Is my value based only on your perception of me? Or is your opinion of me not my responsibility?" And I, like, it, even just now when I said it, I literally just got goosebumps because when she said that, it like something dropped deep within me, because it resonated with me on a very human level, especially the like, is your opinion of me not my responsibility? Is that not my weight to carry? Should I have to walk around being burdened by and enslaved to your opinion of me and what you think about me? And so that's the line of the song that I really want to focus in on today and kind of talk about when I heard that line, what that taught me and how I experienced God in that. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about opinions. Okay, I want to talk about opinions. And we live in a world full of humans, right? And all humans have opinions. It's just part of being human. You know, I think having opinions is good. It's healthy. It's human. It's normal. It should happen. However, I think, especially in the world we live in today with like social media, with our access to information, we are able to consume literally on a daily basis. We could consume thousands of other people's opinions about any given matter on any given day. It's like now anyone who has access to technology and social media can be, it's like we all now have this mouthpiece to which we can share our opinion with pretty much with the world. I mean, anyone can view, you know, what we put out there on social media. And a lot of times it's healthy and good to share opinions. We all have the freedom to speak what's on our mind and to form our own opinions about things. It's how we get conversations going. It's how we get to know each other. It's how we bring attention to important issues. It's how we grow and build trust and learn from other perspectives. It's good to have people that you respect and trust, who you can go to when you're making a decision, and you can get their thoughts and their opinion on what you should do. We all have our own opinions about things, and there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's what makes us us, right? Where it goes wrong is when we think that we are entitled to share our opinions wherever, whenever, and with whomever we want to. Because sometimes people share opinions that hurt others. Sometimes people share what are actually opinions, but they try to pass them off as fact or ultimate truth. Sometimes people form uninformed and uneducated opinions, and then by sharing them, they put people at risk or they cause harm. Sometimes people share opinions and demand that everyone else share the same opinion or else they get canceled. Sometimes people share their opinions about what someone else should do or could do when they were never asked by that person to share their opinion in the first place. I mean, I will tell you what, people love to share their opinions about Icon on our church Facebook page. People really like to do that. And it's like, you know, there's just been times where people will comment or they'll send messages, and it's like, I just want to be like, you know, thank you, Brenda from Tennessee, for telling me how you feel about our church that you've never been to and that you have nothing to do with, right? Like, I'm sorry to hear that you think we're heretics. You can just keep thinking that, and we're going to continue loving people and creating a better world together. So people love to share their opinions, especially unsolicited ones, right? Like, how about when people want to give you their opinion on how you should parent your kids, or on what kind of job you should have, or what you should or shouldn't wear, or what you should or shouldn't believe? Think about all the times that people do this. When people do these things, it can be hurtful, and it can cause tension and strife in relationships. It can shame others and tear them down instead of building them up. And the thing is, we are all capable of being those people. The ones who make snap judgments and think we know more than we do, who get offended when someone has a different opinion than us. And when we are, especially when we're convinced that our opinion is right, we can get real, we can be kind of boogers about it, right? I know I've been guilty of this before. I can get really passionate about my opinions, so much so that often I'll find myself, it's like I want to share my opinion, but I'm not listening to people around me. It's like I'm trying to prove a point, and I want to say what I want to say because I think I'm right. And in the process, I've hurt people before. I've gotten passionate, but I haven't taken a second to stop and think about how what I'm saying and how I'm saying it might be affecting those who are around me. How we form our opinion matters, and then how and when and with whom we share those opinion matters. When we look at the scriptures, James tells us to be slow to speak and quick to listen. Just because we have a thought or an opinion doesn't mean that it needs to be shared. And I think this especially applies when it comes to sharing our opinions about other people or about things that are really affecting other people, right? So over the past few months, I have been just utterly heartbroken over the violent and harmful rhetoric surrounding gender identity and trans folks in the news, on social media. It is wild. And I've seen people all over social media, including church leaders, politicians, people with very large platforms, throwing around their very strong opinions about it. And every single time I think to myself, you are talking about someone's child. You are talking about someone's spouse or someone's parent. You are talking about someone who is made in the image of God. This is not an issue. This is about people. And usually it's an uneducated and uninformed opinion that is rooted in fear and misinformation and hate. Or I've had people who have, DM'd me or commented on social media posts, sharing their opinions about LGBTQ affirmation, and they quote scripture at me and they say homophobic things. And I'm literally sitting in my house reading these messages while my very gay daughter is sitting right in the next room. And I'm just you're talking about my kid. You didn't stop for 2 seconds to think how what you're saying could possibly be really harmful to me and to my child. See, it's true that we all have the freedom to have our own opinions. But, and especially for us as followers of Jesus, we should love people enough to be mindful of how and when, or even if, we share that opinion out loud. There is so much wisdom and love to be found in these instructions from James. It's wise and loving to prioritize listening and to be slow to speak. It's wise and loving to prioritize forming educated and well-informed opinions, because oftentimes those opinions are affecting people. It's wise and loving to pay attention to how our opinions and how we share them are affecting other image bearers of the divine. In this song, Not My Responsibility, that Billie Eilish wrote, we can see how people throwing around their unsolicited opinions about her has caused her harm. And I'm sure we can all think of a time when the same thing has happened to us or to someone that we love, or even a time when we have been the one to cause the hurt to someone else with our own opinion that we carelessly shared. So what does this mean for us moving forward? How can we move forward in a better and more loving way? I think for starters, we can choose to be committed to the practice and to the art of listening and learning. It's so important that we learn to listen to people who hold a different opinion, or that we learn to listen, and I would say especially when we are forming opinions about entire groups of people, we need to listen to and learn from those people as we're forming our opinions about things. We can choose to prioritize people over our rights. I've been so saddened by the number of Christians that I see claiming they have certain rights to do certain things, when all the while they are, kind of using those rights, they are just mowing people down in the process. And it's so sad. And it's not Christian. We can choose to, when we don't understand something, we can choose curiosity over fear. We can choose to stay in our own lane and not concern ourselves with things that aren't hurting anybody and that have nothing to do with us. We can choose to stay in our lane. We can choose loving people over trying to prove that our opinion is the right opinion. And then, what about when someone else hurts us with their opinions about us? Because there's two sides to this, right? It's like we have a responsibility for our actions and how we're treating others and how we are sharing our opinions and forming our opinions and how that impacts the people around us. And then the other side of that is we will, at some time or another, I'm sure we all have been, but if you haven't, I'm sure there will come a day when we will be on the other side of that, where someone else is carelessly sharing an opinion that hurts or harms us. So what do we do then? I think we can listen to Billy here and say, you know what? Your opinion of me is not my responsibility. We don't have to carry the weight of what other people think about us. We don't have to carry the weight of what other people think about our beliefs or about our theology or about how we choose to parent or about how we choose to practice our faith. We don't have to carry that weight of other people's opinions of us. We can set that boundary and say, I'm not going to let what you think of me dictate my life. Proverbs 29:25 says this. It says, fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety. And the Hebrew word here for trap is translated as snare. And that's what it does, doesn't it? Like when we fear people, or in other words, when we let what others think of us dictate our joy and our freedom and how we live our life, it feels like you're caught in a snare. It's like you're trapped in this net and you are unable to break free because we're so bound by this about caring what someone else thinks and other people's opinions of us. We can be frozen in fear sometimes. We're afraid to move, we're afraid to make decisions, or we feel guilt and shame based off of their opinion. It's a snare and it traps us. It becomes harder and harder for us to live abundantly when we're trapped in that snare of another person's opinion of us. But we don't have to live that way. That's the good news, is that we don't have to live that way. And it can be really hard. So hear me, I'm not trying to say, oh, it's easy, you just don't care what they think, because sometimes we've spent so many years of our life caring what other people think that it's going to take some time to undo that way of thinking. It's going to take some time to rewire the neural pathways in our brain to be able to detach ourselves and to release that weight of caring what other people think. I know that it's hard, and I know this because I'm currently in the middle of it. Like, I'm in real time right now having to set boundaries and think forward to boundaries I will probably have to set in the future with people who have strong opinions about me and my family and how we live our life. And so it's hard. I'm having to continually work on disentangling myself from what other people think. But the thing is, we can do it. Whether it's through therapy, whether it's through spiritual practices, we can do it. We can get free. And when we do, there is so much freedom on the other side. Other people's opinions of you is not your responsibility. That is a weight that you do not have to carry. You get to be fully you, and no one gets to take that away from you. You are God's image bearer. You are loved and you are cherished just as you are, and nothing that anyone thinks about you can change any of that. You are beloved. That is good news, right? That is good news that we are beloved and we get to be fully who we are, no matter what other people think about us. So, as we go about our week, there's just 2 thoughts that I want to leave with you, 2 challenges, 2 things that I want to encourage all of us to meditate on as we go about our week. First of all, let's move forward with wisdom and with love when it comes to how and when we form our opinions, or how we form our opinions, and then when and where and with whom we share them. When we're forming our own opinions and sharing those opinions, let's move forward with wisdom and with love, prioritizing people, asking ourselves those questions. Okay, I want to share my opinion here, but first, how could this could this in any way hurt someone else? And when I say hurt someone else, I'm not talking about people who get easily offended if you need to say something that's true, or if you need to, kind of hold someone accountable. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when we know that we could spout off and share our opinion, and we know that the way we say it or what we say could cause harm to someone else. That needs to give us cause to pause. So we need to move forward with wisdom and love, with our own opinions. And then secondly, let's remember that other people's opinions of us are not our responsibility. We can be free. We can release that weight. My therapist says to me all the time, she is like, Kelly, that is not yours to carry. You have to decide what is yours to carry and what's not. You need to let that go, because if you don't let that go, you're going to have a real hard time being whole and being free and flourishing. So as we move forward this week, let's do those things. Let's meditate on them. Let's put them into practice. And let's walk in love and in wisdom when it comes to our opinions and how we take on other people's opinions of us. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I love you all so incredibly much. I'm so grateful to be in this community with you. And we will see you right back here next Sunday. Have a great week, everybody.
Whoa. Okay. Just totally ruined the tone right now, didn't I? Man, I am, as I'm sure many of us are, really processing what Pastor Kelly was sharing today. It was so good. And so many things, little nuggets that I pulled out of the message today. And I would encourage you to take some time to be able to process. If you just go on a drive or a walk or something, to be able to finalize something out of what you heard today. There were a bunch of little things that I kind of wanted to touch on, but I wanted to re-emphasize those last few questions. Really think about how we form our opinions. What goes into the formation of our opinions, and how informed are those opinions? And I think the idea of when, where, and with whom do we share those opinions is so good, because it starts to look outside of just ourselves. I was thinking about this as Pastor Kelly was talking, and I just started thinking about moments where maybe me sharing my opinion hurt other people that I didn't mean to hurt. And in fact, I was trying to come to the defense of, but because of my lack of perspective or understanding, it actually did more harm than caused good. And so I thought, could my opinion be misconstrued as hurtful if I am careless about my lack of perspective? And so that was just one of the things that I am personally walking away with. And I want to encourage you to think through things that you're going to be walking away with as well, along with the idea that other people's opinions of us are not our responsibility. That is a personally challenging thing for me to do, and I'm sure many of us can relate to that. So I love the idea of learning to listen from those who have different opinions than us. That can be a very challenging thing to do, especially when I believe some of those opinions are hurtful or toxic. And it's very difficult sometimes to learn from people that really have no interest in learning themselves. One last little thing that I wanted to share that might bring an additional point to all of this. I love that verse out of Proverbs that Pastor Kelly was sharing. There's another one that is a favorite of mine. It goes like this. Maybe you've heard of it. It just says, "As a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats its folly," repeats his folly. I love that it's a masculine phrase there, because it's often the case with fools. Lots of guys are fools. So anyway, as a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. When we think about the idea of setting boundaries, I want to talk about the idea of forgiveness woven into this as well. This is another one of those takeaway points from today. Setting boundaries is so important and sometimes so difficult. But there are people that have such toxic ideas and such toxic ways of talking about or discussing those ideas that, maybe for some of us, we need to understand that boundaries is about self-preservation and protection. You can forgive somebody and choose to never be around them again. You can forgive somebody and stay away from their toxicity. Forgiveness and reconciliation are two totally different things. And so you can forgive somebody and move on and go beyond that, but be smart about how you are going to interact with that person in the future, because as a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool returns to its folly. And that person hurt you, and they probably hurt you more than once. And there's a reason that they keep hurting you or others. Don't allow them the ability or platform to be able to do it. As a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool returns to its folly, his folly. Do not allow toxic people to have any kind of control over your life or manipulate you through the lens of you need to forgive them. Forgiveness, yes. Reconciliation, that comes through trust and change. And so that one was free. That was a little addition, an addendum onto everything today, man. So much great stuff to process and to look through. And so as you go out this week, I want to pray this prayer over you, which is common book out of the Book of Common Prayer, a liturgy for radicals. And so I want to pray this benediction. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever you may be sent. May you be guided through the wilderness and protected through the storm. May you be brought home rejoicing at the wonders shown to you. May you be brought home rejoicing once again into our virtual doors. We're continuing this series again next week, now streaming. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you right back here next week at Icon Church online. Take care.